This is Bringing the Darkness to the Light with Catherine Nadal, professional psychic medium.
Today's guest is Travis Cormier, a Canadian singer and songwriter known for his powerful vocals and soulful performances. In 2016, Travis gained widespread recognition after appearing on the reality TV show Voix, the Voice in Canada. His captivating rendition of the classic rock ballad Dream On by Aerosmith earned him a standing ovation from the judges and instantly made him a fan favorite. Since then, Travis has released 2 solo albums showcasing his versatility as a songwriter and performer. In August of 2022, Travis landed the leading role in Bat Out of Hell, the musical in Las Vegas, the award-winning hit production set by Jim Steinman and Loaf's greatest hits. Travis recently joined the Las Vegas production Raiding the Rock Vault at the Hard Rock Café in Las Vegas. Pleasure to have you on, Travis.
Thank you so much. I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you. You know, before we go into your amazing career so far in your life, I have to tell the audience that I saw you. I saw you recently in Raiding the Rock Vault. My friend Michael T. Ross is the keyboardist in Raiding the Rock Vault, but he's also the keyboardist in Aldo Novo. So I happened to be out in Las Vegas in November to see Aldo Novo. So I hopped over the following night and saw you guys in Raiding the Rock Vault. And let me tell you, it was amazing. You really are a stage performer. You were front and center. I happened to be like in the second row. So I was like, wow, I felt like I was watching this like in Broadway or something. But that performance and that production is really probably one of the best things people should do on the list of like while they're vacationing in Vegas. It's totally 80s music, which I grew up on. And it was like one right after the other. I mean, we were up on our feet. I don't think there's anyone sitting during your shows.
Yeah. No, it's a really, really fun, energetic show for sure. It's awesome. Yeah,
it's really great. So I wanted to go back in time. I've watched a lot of interviews and, you know, kind of been following your career along the way. But I want the audience to really know, like, who you are and how you grew up with your family. I understand that you were born in Canada. So let's hear about your early days before you became so well known.
I'm from kind of a small city in Canada called Dieppe. It's a part of Moncton, New Brunswick. I'm like from the French part, so I went to a French school. My native language is French, and I grew up in kind of like this small town, playing sports like, you know, all the kids playing hockey, and I played baseball and all that, and had a really cool childhood. Kind of like my parents thought it was important for us. I have 2 brothers, so parents thought it was important for us to, like, as kids, to like try everything, you know, so they would put us in, you know, like I said, soccer, baseball, hockey. We tried every sport, tried art classes and music class and all sorts of things. And to me, like, nothing really, I tried everything and I was okay in everything. But when I discovered my parents' CD collection, like their rock CD collection, and started like discovering albums like, you know, Slippery When Wet or the Bat Out of Hell album, the Back in Black album. And I really like got into the rock world. And I think I was probably like 12 or 13. At the time, I was taking guitar lessons, and I had an acoustic guitar. And then when I discovered those albums, I was like, I prayed to my parents that, can you get me an electric guitar? I want to rock kind of deal. So they got me an electric guitar for Christmas, and that's kind of where everything started for me with music. Like I started learning, you know, Thunderstruck on electric guitar, and Smoke on the Water, and just got like really passionate about rock and roll, and went into like the Kiss. I was like a big Kiss fan. Go to school and have like the black Kiss t-shirt and black pants and like long hair, and 93. So like people at school would be listening to like, I don't know, like Usher and stuff like that. Like people my age, it wasn't so much like those old rock bands. So I was definitely very different than everyone else at school. Kind of like had my friends that we kind of did the same thing and listened to rock and roll and went to school with chains and black t-shirts, but we were definitely kind of outsiders doing that thing.
I think
So
that's
yeah,
interesting because I think you started to play guitar much earlier, though, not like 13, but a little bit earlier. So what was it like to
I
kind of
did.
like find the guitar? Or did you ask for it or did someone in the family have it? How did that work out?
Yeah, so my dad had he had an acoustic guitar like in the house when I grew up, and so like my mom has videos of me at like 3, 4 years old, just kind of destroying that guitar. I would walk around with it and I would hold it by the strings because I mean obviously I didn't know they have videos of me beating on it like a drum and all that. So I was really like drawn to that guitar. I would sing like all the time. And I remember like always had music playing in the house. If they were cooking, if they were cleaning. My mom listened to a lot of country, just hearing like Alan Jackson all the time, Brooks and Dunn. She's a big Travis Tritt fan. So some Travis Tritt and all that. And my dad always listened to rock and roll, but it was always playing in the house. So I kind of grew up singing, beating on that guitar, and eventually started guitar lessons. I think it was like 8 or 9 years old when I started taking acoustic guitar lessons. So they got me a little acoustic guitar at that time, and I didn't really at first. Like I think I didn't really click with my instructor, and I was learning just like very boring stuff that I didn't really want to learn. So it wasn't passionate for me. He was just like teaching me random scales. It wasn't fun until later when I got into like more of the rock stuff. And then one of my best friends, Luke Robichaud, his parents got him an electric guitar for Christmas. So I would go over to his house and be like, dude, this is so cool. Like you get to put distortion and play and whatever. So um, basically he's the one that like then I told my parents, well, Luke has an electric guitar, his parents are cool, like why can't you buy me an electric guitar? So they did, and then I changed instructors and got this guy, Chris Billiveau was his name, and he was like this young dude with dreadlocks. He played in a band. He was just this really cool dude, and like and when I started taking lessons with him, we clicked, and then it was more of like, what do you want to learn? And we were learning things that I was actually passionate about, and I looked up to him. He was kind of like a mentor and an idol for me. He was older, and I thought like one day I'll be like him and I'll be in a band. So yeah, that's how that all worked out.
I love that story, though. I think I also heard somewhere that your name, Travis, is from your mom's adoration for Travis Tritt. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, wow. I love that. Yeah. I think it's really important when someone wants to pursue music and the parents are already kind of locked into music themselves.
Yes.
So you would probably get a lot of support from them. Just from the stories you're telling, it's obvious that they were supporting you through that. So that's really cool. How did you kind of get through to, not just like, how did you pursue The Voice? I have to be honest, I'm much older than you. I am a big fan of these shows, especially American Idol. American Idol must be on the air at least like, I don't know, 20 years or more. And it caught on like wildfire here in the States. But also The Voice also was like a competitive show as well. And, even though the shows are still currently doing well, I really enjoyed following the judges. So I'm not familiar with the Canadian version. Probably a lot of people in the audience may not be either. So if you could just start to say, how did you first find out about it? Were you watching the shows? And how is that show structured, maybe differently than the one that happens in the States?
Yeah, well, that show, I'll like back up a little bit because like before that, I definitely never would have imagined being like on a show like that. In high school, I started a cover band, and I was playing a lot of bars and a lot of like small venues, and kind of had like the mindset of like, you start a band, you practice a lot, you play in clubs, and eventually get discovered and sign a deal. And like that was like my plan. And high school, I went to study music at Musicians Institute in Hollywood, California. I was there a couple of years, 3.5 years, and did the thing out there. Played the Sunset Strip and played in a couple bands. Gained a lot of experience. But you play these bars, and it's cool, and a couple people come and whatever. But like, I felt like, I was doing all that, but still not really moving forward fast enough for what I wanted or whatever. So after a couple of years of living in LA, I had to move back to Canada, just because like my work visa was done, and I was like, well, I'll go back to Canada and do my thing there and see how it goes. So moved back to my hometown, and then I was kind of like trying to figure out what my next move was. So I started recording with a producer out there. I started recording a solo album, and we had 2 tracks done. And I got a call to audition for The Voice in the US. I couldn't do the audition. I think it was because I wasn't an American citizen or something. There was like some kind of a reason why I couldn't do it. I think it was because I had to be an American citizen. So I was like, that would have been cool, but I can't do it, and it's all good because I like I said, I didn't really like those shows. I believed in like you put in the work and all that. But it got me thinking, and I was like, well, you know what? Like, it might not be so bad. I mean, what other platform can give you, millions of people, to be seen by millions of people? I mean, I can keep playing these bars for years and years and years, and I'll never be even close to reaching that many people. So I was like, I was kind of like, well, why not? So I saw that The Voice Canada had auditions. So I went to Quebec City. I auditioned there. And the process is like there's a pre-audition, which is in front of the producer and a couple people working with the production team. So you do that. So I sang "Crying" by Aerosmith for the producer, and he like really liked it. I got a call a couple weeks later. They were like, you made it to the blind audition, so you'll be flying into Montreal in a couple months for that. So I fly to Montreal. I do the blind audition. And I had chosen, I don't remember what song I chose, but I had chosen another song that was like a newer song that people know that's a bit more current. And I was like, I think people are going to like this one. And I got to Montreal. I was about to do the blind audition and kind of panicked last minute. And I was like, you know what? I think I should do a song that I'm just like really comfortable with, that I sang so many times. So I started thinking like, what's the song that I sang like the most in my life? And Dream On was one that I did with my bands like all the time. I did a karaoke competition or singing competitions back home. I sang it in like so many bars and clubs where no one really paid attention, but it was just like really comfortable for me. So I asked the production team, like, can I change my song last minute? And they were like, yeah, sure. So I went up there and sang Dream On, and then just kind of, I mean, the 4 judges turned immediately, which was really cool. Like I started singing the first verse and like all 4 chairs turned, and I didn't expect that at all. So that was cool. It was kind of like shocking, but it's so much adrenaline and so much going on that I went there, did that, and then went back home because that only airs like, and I think it aired in like 6 months later or something. So you kind of go back home, and then you just like kind of wait around for a couple months, and then you go back for the second round, but it doesn't air on TV till like way later. So I had no idea like how the impact that it was going to have until I was in my hotel room watching it on TV. And I was the first audition that passed in that like season. And I remember I had my phone on the bed at the hotel, and as soon as the audition passed, like my phone just started like, ding, 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 all this like social media. On YouTube, it gained like 6 million views the first day on YouTube, and it just like kind of just was so crazy from there. So it was pretty cool, surreal experience, and I don't regret it at all. I'm so glad I did it.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you went into detail about the time frames, because a lot of people don't realize that, you know, it looks, when you're watching it on TV, it looks like it's happening in real time, you know? So
Yeah.
when they do flashbacks, sometimes someone may have different hair or, you know, maybe did a whole makeover or something. So I think that's really interesting.
Yeah.
How was it as a participant? Because we never hear those stories, you know? When you go to a place, you know, there's other people that are either, they're really serious. I mean, most people that go there, they're like, I want to win this thing. So there's probably like some real competition happening. And, you know, so what was it really like? Were mostly everyone like you know, like bar experience, or were some of these people really like, you know, coming out of an opera or something like that, you know?
Yeah, I mean, some people like. I kind of went there with the thought of like, I have nothing to lose, why not type of thing. I really wasn't. I didn't go there with the intention of like of winning, or I didn't look at it as a competition. For me, I was like, if I make the first round in front of judges, then that's it. That's what I want, because I just wanted the exposure. And once you pass there and you're on TV, even the first round, if you get eliminated, you still have got millions of people that saw what you did and then look you up and check out your music and whatever. So I was super happy when that happened. But it was definitely, I definitely felt a lot of competition and a lot of jealousy, unfortunately, from people. And I think because the way those shows work too is like the companies, like they're all about, you know, ratings, and they're all about like getting people to watch and all that. So, you know, they could have placed things around the way they chose to put mine, you know, first. They chose to, they would show a lot of like interviews and all that. So like I got kind of jealousy from other people that were like, it seems, you know, I think they thought maybe it seemed unfair or something. I'm not sure. But also like that the video kind of took off on social media and went viral from the first episode. I definitely felt that competition jealousy thing, which I really hated that, because I'm like, look, I'm not here to compete. I'm here for the experience. I'm here to make friends. I'm here to, you know, which, yeah, that part kind of sucked, but I did make really good friends. And I actually became best friends with my coach on The Voice, Eric Lapointe. He's a huge rock guy back home, and sold over 1 million records, and he's really amazing, and it's been around a long time. So he became my mentor, and we worked together after the show for years. We toured together. He helped me with a lot of things, and he's still like my best friend till this day. So that I gained that from the show, which was really cool. I gained a really good friendship with a great mentor.
That's great, though. Did you stay friendly with any of the other participants, or just mostly with the mentor?
Mostly with the mentor. Yeah, everyone there was really cool, really great. Aside from, you know, a little bit of jealousy, but beside that, you know, everyone was great. I bumped into a couple of them after, but that's also like kind of a crazy thing, is like you spend so much time with those people every day, but once that's done, everyone kind of goes their separate ways. People go back to their jobs. Some people take off and have careers. Some people don't even pursue music after, and they go back to whatever they go to something else. But you know, I think for me, I think those shows it's a really great opportunity if you have a plan and if you have it set up ahead of time. I think what I did that was really good looking back was when I knew I was going to go on The Voice, I had no content on social media. So I hired a kid from back home, Remy, his name. He was young at the time. I think he was like 14, but he got into like film and photography, and he was new to this. And I saw a couple of his videos that he produced and posted on Facebook. So I hit him up and I was like, hey, I'm about to do The Voice and I'm about to get like a lot of exposure. Do you mind like partnering up with me to make videos for YouTube, like cover videos and all that. And he was just starting out. So we kind of like made an agreement where, you know, it would help him with visibility, it would help me get content. And we partnered up and started making a lot of videos. So when Dream On took off, then I had content for people to search and check out on YouTube. So then I gained, you know, subscribers and fans and all that. So I think it's a really good platform if you kind of have your stuff already set up and you have a plan for afterwards. But if you don't have a plan after, the show's going to end. And then, like, what was all that exposure for, you know?
Yes, you're very smart to think that way. There's like a real business sense to you, because you have to really focus where the fans are, and the fans actually live on social media. So, I mean, unfortunately, that's today's world.
Yeah,
but you have to keep feeding them, you know, either with your music or with your face, or those are the things people are going to remember you by, you know. So I'm sure you're very gifted. That piece of it is really great. You're a handsome guy. You're young. So I think all of those things probably played into you, you know, getting a lot of attention, especially being on TV. So that piece of it is really great. How did you get, you know, because 2016, if we just look at your timeline, 2016 to 2018 was when you had your first album. So between The Voice and getting your first album, you really only had 2 years. So is this when you started working with your mentor, or how did that record kind of come about?
Well, so after The Voice, I went on tour right away. So I started touring. I put a band together and started touring my own thing, and also was a guest on my mentor's shows as well. So I was touring a lot. I did that for, I think for the first year was only touring, and then I started recording my album. I started in a studio in Montreal, and my record label kind of made all the decisions at that time with like the producer I was going to work with and the songwriters I was going to write with and all that. So I got in the studio and started working with this dude, really good producer. He's done a lot of big things, but it wasn't, I thought it wasn't a fit for what I wanted to do. It was like more, I guess, more indie rock type of thing. And it didn't click. So we started working on a couple songs, and I called my manager and I was like, hey, like, this is not working. You got to tell the label that, like, you know, it's not working out. And they got pretty pissed off because they had already invested money into this with this producer and with these songs. And so I had a meeting with them, and they were like, okay, well, you know, we can't keep wasting money here if you're not going to keep doing this album. So they were like, what do you want? Like, well, what would make you happy? Who would you want to work with? And so I made a list of 10 producers that I like, my dream producers. And I was like, if you can get one of those guys and I can write my own songs and work with the producer and maybe co-write with them, then I'll be happy. So I kind of had that meeting, went home, and a couple weeks later, I'm in bed and it's like 5 a.m. and I get a call from Bob Rock, and he's like, hey, I got a call from your label and everyone. And he's like, you know, I checked out your stuff and I think it could be cool. So let's start like just sending each other ideas, and send me some songs, send me what you're working on, and then I'll see if I have time to make your record. And so we kind of did that for a couple of weeks. I would send him ideas. I'd be like, what do you think of this? And he was like, yeah, you know, I think you could go back and work on this chorus. So he was really great. And then he got Richie Sambora involved, where we wrote songs together, me, Richie, and Bob. So we kind of spent the first couple months just writing and getting the songs right and all that. And while I was touring, and when we got a couple songs down, then I kind of took a break from tour, flew to Vancouver at the Warehouse Studios, and then started recording that album. So I would do like periods of, I would go over there for like a couple months and then go back home and go back for a couple of weeks. So we did kind of a lot of that. And I think it took about a year of like back and forth like that to make the record.
Well, I have to take 2 seconds to compliment you, because you really showed your business sense as a child when you said, this guitar teacher is not working out. And then you were able to kind of continue that and identify what is not for you, And I think a lot of times you feel these things, it's like a sixth sense, or you feel it in your gut, like, this is just not working out, I give you a lot of credit to speak up. Sometimes people are under a lot of stress and pressure, and they're afraid, like maybe they just won't give me the album or the deal will be over or whatever. But you knew to follow your heart, and you knew in your gut that wasn't the right match. So I really have to give you credit on that. Just circling back, just so people are reminded, Bob Rock is incredibly impressive. He's been involved with Bon Jovi, Metallica. I mean, there's so many artists that he's been involved in. He's primarily from Canada. Is that correct?
He is, yeah. Which was cool because, we definitely bonded over. It was cool to work with another Canadian, and his story is pretty crazy too. I mean, he's from a really small town in Canada and started working with Bruce Fairbairn. His whole story was inspiring to me too, because I'm sure he never thought in his wildest dreams that he was going to end up producing, the Black Album from Metallica and selling millions and hundreds of millions of copies. It's quite impressive, and he was a really, really cool dude to work with. So I'm just so blessed and thankful.
Yeah, I just reflecting on, kind of all the ins and outs of your stories. It's really kind of fascinating how you have really been placed in front of the right people, because I'm sure in this business, sometimes you're the right person, but you're, kind of in the company of not the right fit, where it means that sometimes opportunities are cut short, or maybe you end up changing into an artist that you're really not comfortable with. Sometimes people feel that they're forced or under pressure to become, getting involved in genres that really isn't where their heart sits. So you really lucked out between your mentor at the Voice and having now Bob Rock, which is really impressive. A lot of my friends have done work with bands that he's been involved in. So that to me is really very impressive. So that's really great. Yeah, so meeting Bob and going back and forth, and that's the way it usually happens, fitting around someone doing the tour schedule. Mm-hmm. When you did that first album, what was really primarily your mission in that album? Was it really just to get the songs out? Or was it some albums have a story to tell where all the songs are kind of telling a story? So how was it for you being your first album?
Well, for me, it was a long time coming, because I had been playing music and performing and all that for quite some time before that. I felt I'm sure a lot of artists deal with this, but there's a lot of pressure on releasing your first album or your first single that you write, and I don't know, it's one is kind of you're being vulnerable and writing your own thing and then putting it out to the world and hoping they like it, which some people will, some people maybe not. So you got to be ready for whatever happens. You also got to be ready for failure if it not all songs and not all albums succeed or work out, or whatever expectations you have. I think for me, it was a big deal just to release something and then get the ball rolling and be okay, that's how I can do this now. I'll release more. So getting to co-write with Bob Rock and Richie was really cool, because it kind of it gave me confidence in my writing, but also took off the pressure that I was putting on myself, writing by myself and trying to do everything by myself. I realized making that album, that I work better as a team with people. I'm more inspired with people. I'm more passionate about my work when I work with people. And I think that it's an industry where you can't do it alone, and everyone needs help. Everyone needs mentors and co-writers and producers, and it's a whole team of people working for one vision and one goal. So that was cool. The writing and all that was kind of some songs I took from personal experience. some songs were songs that I wrote. Like there's one on there called Pictures of Paradise that I wrote when I lived in LA. I think I was 17 or 18 when I started writing that song. So a couple came like from personal experience, and then a couple was like just sitting down with Bob and Richie and coming up with a concept. You know, there's one on there that I really love called Living on Mars, which kind of like came in the concept of like, might as well be living on Mars because like I don't want to be here. So it's all kind of different things on there. But I definitely, like I said, definitely learned a lot from making that album. It just got the ball rolling, gave me the confidence as a songwriter and as an artist, and to get this, the kind of the stamp of approval from guys like that. It's like, then I was like, okay, I can do this. And now the fear of releasing stuff is gone, and I'm still working on it. But I don't know. I think like once you get an idea and you write a song, just put it out there, and then the universe will, everything will take care of itself, and it'll go where it's supposed to go. And it doesn't always work, but I think just being consistent and keep putting things out there is the key, I think.
Yes, I agree. What was your actual first song for your first single? What was that?
So the first single we released off that album was a song called Dollars and Hearts, which was the one song, it was a song on the album that actually Marty Fredrickson wrote. And it's a song that I really liked. It came before I started working with the album. My record label was pitching me a bunch of songs from like other writers. And I would listen to them and be like, no, not that one. Or no, I think I can write something, like that or whatever. But I just really liked that one song, Dollars and Hearts from Marty Fredrickson. It was because I think I liked it because it's very country rock. That was like, I heard a lot of the country influences in there, and I was like, this is cool because I get to blend my two influences of rock and country into one song. So that was the first single that came out off that album.
I've been listening to a lot of your stuff. And since I saw you in November, I was like, oh, I have to check this person out. A lot of your stuff is country, though. Even like I watched some of your videos. Even your videos go along with the song, and they're like telling stories and stuff. So it's really enjoyable just to sit down and watch your videos, without, I'm much older than you. Like I said earlier, we used to have MTV. So MTV was like, we're kind of, I'm dating myself, but we're really video people. So now when you look up, the songs, you could just stream them, obviously, but to see your face and to see all the other people that are playing it makes the lyrics almost come alive. And do you have any interesting stories about doing videos? Because I know that could be tricky, or about how you want the video to go, because you have a lot of, like, I don't want to say self-directing, but you have a lot of self-direction in you, just hearing your stories and knowing what fits for you. So did you feel that you wanted to really self-direct some of these videos that were being done, or you felt that you weren't really part of it?
Well, I always found like videos and visual like so important. And I know that, like you said, we're in a digital world now where there's a lot less videos. A lot of people just release a single without videos. But I don't know. Like you said, to me, it makes the song come alive. And I'm such a big fan of music videos. And I grew up watching like DVD, like music video DVDs that my parents would buy, where you get like, some would be like 10 different bands, but it's all the music videos, and all the music videos for Kiss, or even like Meatloaf, like Bat Out of Hell with like the beast and the girl. Like it shows the whole story and changes your perception or perspective of the lyrics. Sometimes you'll listen to the song and what you think they're talking about, and then you see the video and you're like, oh no, wait, this is actually what they meant by this. And so I always love videos. I think that, I think it's important. And from my videos, it's cool because I got to like direct it and kind of have my vision come to life, which is really cool. And I have so many more ideas for songs that I'm working on now, that when I write the song, I already have like the music video in mind. And sometimes I have the whole music video before even writing or finishing the song. I'm like, oh, I can see it. It's going to be in the desert. It's going to have this, and I can like see the whole thing. And then I'm like, oh, wait, first I need to finish the song. So I like get as excited about the video than the song.
That's really funny. But, I'm kind of tracking your mind thought during this conversation. You perhaps one day could be a writer. I wrote 2 books, my 2 books that I have out that are self-published, but you have that, like you have the vision, and you have, like you said, you could see how the end of the story is, and then maybe the video, like seeing that in your mind, helps you finish that song just with the lyrics, like, because you could see it in your mind like a story. So you might become a writer. I don't know, Travis.
I hope so. I mean, that would be cool. I get to take
that would be cool.
In my head. Yeah.
Yeah. So you could add another thing to your resume, right? But
I'll hit you up when I want to be a writer for tips and tricks and advice.
That's funny, yeah. When you said the videos, it's kind of interesting because we'll talk about this later in the interview, but your rating the Rock Vault brings up a lot of 80s references. So when you started to mention, Bat Out of Hell and all of that, when somebody says, like, name one of your favorite videos, mine is like November Rain by Guns N' Roses, that whole church scene. And then, it's incredible. And another one is like David Coverdale. Of course, he had like the car video with the lady. And, a lot of these, they make the song timeless. And I'm really glad that you're going to continue to make videos because I really feel like they fit in with knowing the artists more. And it also attracts a lot of attention, But just like November Rain, I mean, people talk about that till this day. And I think that song that song was released, I think, if I'm dating myself correctly, February 18th, 1993. So it may be the same year that you were born that song came out.
Yeah, but it's crazy too because like November Rain is like, I think till this day is one of the highest budget music videos ever made, alongside like Thriller and all that. But to me, it's like, there's less and less music videos now, but you think like now it's easier than ever to make videos like that. Like back then they needed a helicopter to take those shots with like Slash soloing on that mountain. And now like you can do that with a couple $100 drone, so like you can make like crazy cool music videos for like a pretty low budget. So I don't see why people aren't doing it. It's like, it's easier than ever. It costs so much less money, and I don't understand why you wouldn't do it. I mean,
exactly.
Even a video, like even taken on an iPhone, is so good, so much good quality now.
Yeah. I wanted to talk about Bon Jovi for a minute. A very good friend of mine is Spencer Drake and Judith Salavis. The two of them are actually in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and they worked very closely with Bon Jovi. They're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because they're the only 2 creative artists that did 25 albums that were all inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They were on my show, and they're just really great friends of mine, but they had tremendous stories about Bon Jovi. And this is when he walked into their studio holding a cassette tape, with Runaway on it, and they were listening to it kind of for the first time. It hadn't really made a splash yet, They also worked on his logo. So if you ever see the videos of him running across the stage and it's black and white and it says Bon Jovi on the stage, that was their work as well. So it's kind of, very celebrated with Bon Jovi. But I did see a very interesting video that's available on YouTube where Bon Jovi actually starts playing a song and he's singing it. And then they split the screen, and then you're singing it and playing as well. And then the two of you kind of do it together. So can you just kind of talk on that a bit? Because Bon Jovi's one of my favorites. I mean, he's really like a tremendous artist. So if you could just kind of explain what that video is about, how that video came about, because I think it really kind of shows that you're a similar artist, but very, very different.
Yeah, that was a cool kind of concept they came out with. It was like during COVID lockdown and all that. Yeah, basically like he wrote like a first verse and then was asking people to write their own second verse and then put that together. So everyone, like there was, I don't know, like probably thousands of contestants that wrote their own verse about like basically about the lockdown or about like what was going on and how hard it was for certain people and all that during that time. I forget what the song was called, but it was a very inspirational, and so yeah, I did that on YouTube, and it got a lot of attention, and it was cool. Bon Jovi always just was around my life, my whole entire life. Just Bon Jovi's just hovering, like from listening to their CDs to I remember watching their live DVDs, and I would go to my friend Luke's house, the one that got the electric guitar, and we would put on a live DVD. It was from the Crush tour, I believe, and we would have like guitars, and he would have a guitar, I would have a microphone, so I would be John Bon Jovi and he would be Richie Sambora, and in the living room we would perform the whole show, and we knew like every move and placement and everything, and we would like pretend to be them. Eventually we had his little brother was like sitting on the couch judging our performances. Like we were like really into it, and so it's crazy because like years later I end up opening for Bon Jovi at the Bell Center, and I was working with Richie on my album, and I was like, this is so crazy because I feel like I literally manifested that from watching their like live DVDs as a kid, and being like, one day I'm gonna be there and work with them, and so it's just so crazy. Still, I'm talking about it, and it's so surreal. And
I think you did manifest it. I believe in those things, so keep manifesting.
Yeah, I definitely do.
But
too.
I really love that though, because I reflect back on American Idol, but when they first came out, my nephew, my godson, he was really little. He must have been like 3 or something. And I used to hand him an invisible microphone and make him sing something. And then I'd say, you're on American Idol, but till this day, now he's like graduating college this year. And he's like, do you remember when we used to play American Idol? So it makes a lot of like childhood memories that much more memorable because you really participated in it and took yourself seriously. I think that's really the key, that you knew in your inner mind that you had something from a very young age. So it's really refreshing. Sometimes people feel that they don't really believe in themselves or they doubt themselves, even as a child, and it doesn't sound like you've ever doubted yourself. So I think that's really, really amazing, and it's very rare because even though you say, oh, I had fear or I had that, that's all human, but the idea that you never really doubted yourself is coming through so clear. I really appreciate that. But you did mention Bat Out of Hell, so I know we have to get to that because that's a big part of how you really started some of your stage stuff. So share how that came about. Yeah,
that was another thing that kind of, I would have never thought I would have done something like that. I was in Montreal, living in Montreal. We had just got out of the whole COVID thing, which was for me just a really kind of boring time because my like touring, obviously everything got shut down and stuff. So I was kind of just like waiting for shows to start up again, and so we had like just started coming out of that whole lockdown thing, and I started booking shows again and getting my band together and getting back on tour. And one day, this like random, just like one afternoon, I get a DM on Instagram from a guy that I used. So when I lived in LA, I was in a band with an actor that also played guitar. So we started a band together. And one of his friends came over to stay at our place for a weekend. And that friend, he was an actor, and I kind of met him through my guitarist. But, we hung out for a weekend, and that was kind of it. And then we followed each other on social media and kind of followed each other's careers. But I was never like in touch with him that much. And so I get a DM from him a couple years. So it's been probably like 2 years now or 3. Like 2 years, I get a DM from him, And he's like, hey, I'm working on this movie, and one of the girls working on the movie is casting a musical in Vegas called Bat Out of Hell. And at first I was like, I wasn't really down for, I wasn't into musicals. Like at all. I just wasn't into that world or familiar with it. But obviously, I was familiar with Meatloaf and his music and the Bad Out of Hell album and stuff. So I started looking it up, and when I saw like what it was, and I read the storyline and started getting into the whole story of it, I was like, this could be really, really cool. And everything happened so fast. Like I answered and I was like, yeah, sure. And the casting director messaged me. She was like, can you be on a Zoom call tomorrow morning in front of all the producers and sing these songs? And she sent me the script and learn a couple lines and sing those songs. So I got on a Zoom call the next morning in front of all the producers in a boardroom in, like, I think they were in New York. And I just start belting Bat Out of Hell and I Do Anything for Love and For Crying Out Loud. And then in the meeting, they're all there. There's like a lot of people that I don't know. And they're like, that's great. They're like, have you ever acted before? And I'm like, no, I haven't. And when I said no, I saw like the casting director was kind of like, dude, like you shouldn't have said that. And they were like, well, it's okay. You're going to love it. And when they said you're going to love it and then hung up, and I was like, does that mean I got the gig? And so yeah, they made me an offer like right away. And they were like, if you accept, you're moving to Vegas in 2 weeks, you're starting rehearsal, and you'll be the lead role in this musical. So it's kind of crazy. Like, so the story, which was really kind of what made me want to do it, was I played Strat, which is a character that's kind of based off Peter Pan, where he's 18 forever, and him and his gang, which is called the Lost, they're kind of like homeless. They live in the tunnels, and Strat meets this girl named Raven, and he falls in love with Raven. But Raven comes from, like, her dad is like the mayor of the city, and she's trying to kick out the Lost and get rid of the Lost because they're a gang of kids living in the tunnels of the city. And so the whole story is basically this kid Strat that falls in love with Raven, and then Raven's dad that doesn't approve. So there's a war between like him and the militia against Strat and the Lost. So it's kind of very chaotic. There's the love story in there. There's the Peter Pan aspect of like not wanting to grow up, and there's motorcycles and flames and pyro and smoke and just like a whole load of things that are rock and roll. So it was great. It was so much fun playing a character and also getting out of like my artist. It was nice to play a character for once and not, I don't have to be myself. I can like play someone else. It was really cool.
How difficult was it to memorize the lines? Because I've taken some adult classes for acting, and I found it very hard to memorize the lines. I could see the lines in my head. They wouldn't come out of my mouth.
Yeah, it wasn't so bad. Like I had a lot of help and support in the show. My co-star helped me a lot too, because most of my lines was with her. It was more like interacting with her, and so we worked a lot, like kind of aside by ourselves on getting all those lines and getting the right approach, the right vibe, and so. It was definitely a lot of work. For me, what was overwhelming at first was just like the placement. There was a lot of like choreo, which I didn't have to like dance or anything, which was like, I'm so grateful for that, because I am not a dancer by any means, and I would have hated that. So they were like really cool because they like adapted the character to me, and they made sure that I was comfortable and I wasn't doing anything that I wasn't comfortable with or wasn't myself. But the first 2 days of rehearsal, I was so overwhelmed because it's a really big cast. There's a lot of cast, a lot of dancers, a lot of choreo, a lot of people running around, and so you need to know where to be at all times. And I had never done anything like it, so yeah, I remember like day 2, I went to to the director, and I sat down with him, and I almost like felt like crying because I was so overwhelmed. I was like, dude, I don't think I can do this. Like, I really don't think I can do this. And he was kind of like laughing. He was like, dude, you're okay. Take a breath. Like, you're the right guy. We got you for a reason, and we know you can do it. Just, stick with it for another couple days. It will get better, I promise. And it did get better. And once we were rehearsing for 3 weeks every day in a dance studio. So after the 3 weeks, I was comfortable with all my lines and everything, but it was a lot of work, and it was just overwhelming at first.
Yeah, well, I have to give you a lot of credit, though, because what you were doing was you were growing, and growing is not easy. So when people say when you're learning something, it's hard because you don't know it. And then once you get through it, you're like, wow, that's probably in some odd way helped you further on doing things in front of the camera. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. Definitely, yeah. And now I'm like, okay, like that's something that now I know I can do. And also now I know that I can dive into things that I don't know and be okay.
Exactly.
Because at first, like when I got the call, I was like, man, like, am I doing this? I was so close. I had written a whole email to Luann, was the casting director, and she's just really great, such a great person, and she believed in me. She got a guy that never did that before and believed in me enough to take a chance to give me the lead role. So I feel like I owe her so much. Like, it's just so cool of her to do that. But I had written a whole email to her that I never sent, basically telling her that I was backing out, like, because I was just so scared. I was like,
Yes.
man, like moving there in 2 weeks, going into something what if I can't do it? What if I'm not good enough?
Yeah.
And I had written this thing to back out, and I never sent it. I ended up just being like,
Yeah, because
whatever,
you
I'm
believe in yourself.
dive in.
So that goes back to what I tell a lot of people. Fear is a 4-letter word.
Yeah.
We all have it, but it's a 4-letter word. I want to be able to jump over to how you got rating the vault, because that's really where you're at right now. The show is phenomenal. So how did that come about for you?
Rating the Rock Vault. So I did Bat Out of Hell, and I was doing Bat Out of Hell. We closed the show on January 1st. On January 1st last year. So that show closed, and then I was like, okay, what do I do now? Do I move back to Montreal, or do I stay in Vegas? And I really liked Vegas. I wanted to stay here, but obviously I can't, I needed work. I needed another contract, and Sir Harry and Sylvia. So Sir Harry's the producer of the show, and him and one of his partners, Sylvia, came to Bat Out of Hell. They saw the show. When it closed, they were like, maybe he'd be cool for Rock Vault, maybe as a cover. Like, then they didn't really know what my place was going to be in that show at that time, I think. So I got a call from Michael T. Ross, and he was like, hey, do you think you could come in one day at the Rio while we do sound check and just, go up there and sing a song, and then we'll kind of see if we like you or whatever. I think Michael I don't think he had ever seen me perform. I don't think he saw Bat Out of Hell or anything, but he was cool to be like, if you could come in, and they gave me the time and the opportunity to come and sing a song. I remember I sang Separate Ways with them, and it was just so cool. All the guys are just, so nice, such great guys. And I felt a really good energy while singing. I remember, like, during the solo, I was just like on the side stage, just looking at Blas while he was rocking out, and I was like, I just felt like this would be so much fun. And so I did that, and then they called me back for, I think I was a cover for, I don't remember who, one night at the Rio. So I learned my parts and all that, came in and sang with Todd Kearns and Keith St. John, were the two other singers that night, and Georgia. Yeah, kind of from there, they kind of just started giving me more dates, and I think I like kind of found my place in the show. I think I brought in something different. I think that right now we're 4 singers that all have our our strengths within the selective songs that we do, and it's all kind of different. So it brings like different elements in the show. So I'm just really, I think I got lucky and fortunate that I think I brought in something in the show that they wanted or needed, and they kind of just kept giving me dates from there. And I'm still just so grateful every time I get to go up there. And then we transitioned from the Rio to the Hard Rock, which was a good move, I think.
Oh, the Hard Rock is great. Let me tell you. And for anyone that hasn't seen it, it's not just the guys doing their front work. You have some girls that are going around. They're kind of like what I call the dancers, or they're kind of doing like the live video part. They kind of do like it's a little like, so you're not just watching guitars all night long. There's people running out and running back, and the scenes change very quickly, and the songs change very quickly. So you don't really know what's going to happen next. And when you come out and you could hear the audience like, they get excited, like, because it keeps us on our feet, not knowing the lineup. Sometimes when you go to a concert, you know the lineup, but you're jumping from one artist to another, but you're also going into different timelines. Songs from a certain era, songs from a certain area. So I think it's phenomenal. I love you guys do jump, and I think I like that the best because Michael T. Ross actually does a lot on the keyboards during that, and that's just completely fun. So that's great. I can't thank you enough for being on this show with us today. I just want to make sure that you plug your social media and let everybody know how we're going to be able to contact you.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Thanks to you, and thanks to everyone for listening to my story. But you can check out my website, traviscormierofficial.com. I post all my dates there and updates. I'm working on new songs and a new album, so it'll be posted on there as well. And then on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and all that, it's Travis C Music on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. So you can check it out. I'll be releasing new material soon.
Okay, great. We're going to go out with one of your songs. It's the song with the girl with the name of the song.
Oh, yeah. She's going to be a song. Yes.
Yep, that's it. Here we go. Right. Thank you again, Travis.
Thank you.
Forget my name. Already drunk, and I ain't even finished a drink. She's got this little thing about her, this magic little can up of water. The best thing about her is she don't even know it yet. She's gonna be a song. Every little thing about her makes you wanna sing along. That look in her eyes gets me every time, and I can't even tell you what she does to me. Got her running through my head like a melody. She's my radio on all night long. She's gonna be a song. Somebody's gonna write something about 1,000 stars. I bet there'll be a line about her and some broken hearts, and how she's got him going crazy. He wishes he could call her baby.